Voice acting is a tough art to master. Whereas normally an actor uses their body language, facial expressions, and voice in a performance, voice acting only has you use your, well, voice. You have to channel so much energy into every little line to make it sound believable, emotional, and not unintentionally hilarious. It also helps to be a really good actor. Have you ever asked yourself why you always hear actors like Nolan North, Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, and Jennifer Hale in your games? Well, it's because they're really good actors, and have pulled off some of the most memorable performances in recent memory. But every so often you'll have a performance that is just so mind-numbingly bad that you just can't help but think,
what the hell was that?
One franchise has always stuck with me as having the worst luck when it comes to voice acting.
Resident Evil.
Oh, scary!
I think it's common knowledge that Resident Evil has some of the worst written dialogue in the history of video games. Some of it can be endearing by adding to the story and characters.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
He did it! He said it!
And some of it can be everything in the first game.
This house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
You're wounded. What kind of demon attacked you?
Recently though, Resident Evil has had a bit of a hot streak. Most of the recent entries have been well received, and the performances have also been great. However, that streak ended this year sadly, with the release of the Resident Evil 4 Remake and Lily Gao's performance as Ada Wong.
You done fucked it up!
I think we all know by now that Gao's performance is not the best, and is probably one of the weaker parts of an otherwise stellar game.
Hey, got a smoke?
I do. The kind you like. Now where's the amber?
I thought that we had forgotten about it all and moved on. But then I had this video pop up in my recommended, where a team of Resident Evil fans have made a mod that completely removes Gao's performance, with AI of all things. It got me thinking, just how bad was the performance to warrant something this drastic and time consuming? Was it so bad that it's a detriment to the overall package? No. Is it the worst piece of voice acting we've ever been subjected to? No. Again, Resident Evil 1.
What is it?
So with that being said, who thought it was a good idea to harass this poor woman over social media for her performance? It's well known now that Gao has been the subject of apparent horrible, nasty comments from some of the special kind of gamers we wish didn't exist, to the point where she has deleted her social media stuff and turned off comments to stop the harassment. These 4 comments on the screen are without a doubt the most recognisable ones that were circulating at that time. And whilst they aren't the nicest way of saying, I didn't like your performance as Ada, they're certainly not as bad as journalists, or even Lily Gao for that matter, were making it out to be. As a viewer, player, listener, whatever, we have every right to share our thoughts on the piece of media we're digesting. It's part of the reason why I started this channel, and if there's something we don't like, then we can share our opinions. Granted, there are ways to express your dissatisfaction without sounding like a child who isn't able to get what they want. But freedom of speech is there, and we can use it. Just
don't be a dick!
However, the story doesn't end there. Gao posted this image to Instagram about the whole thing, and I really think she just shouldn't have bothered. The one thing above all that stood out to me was that it seemed like Gao was pulling the race card for not liking her performance. Look, I'm going to try and explain this without sounding too political, because that's not what this channel is about. Even though Ada Wong is an Asian American character, in the past she has been voiced by white women like Sally Cahill and Courtney Taylor to name a few. Each one of them kept the seductive and hard-ass personality of Ada Wong intact, and players like myself didn't have a hard time believing that RE2 Ada wasn't the same as RE6 Ada. We also didn't care that the actor wasn't Asian, because it's something us gamers don't really give a shit about.
We don't care.
Lily Gao, however, is the first actor of an Asian background to play Ada Wong. But the only problem is that she doesn't have any voiceover experience before this. If you take a look at her IMDb, she's had acting experience, but not voice acting experience. And as we mentioned at the start of this video, it's a whole different art form. And that's what people have a problem with, her performance. They don't care if she's Asian, black, white, or whatever. Her acting and overall performance as Ada Wong was just not good. So putting out an Instagram post where the main focal point is racial harassment just makes it seem like she's saying, "Didn't like my performance? You must be racist." That being said, if she did receive racist comments from so-called fans, shame on you all for that.
Wankers! Fucking embarrassing.
But there's actually a third party involved with this whole ordeal, and that's Capcom themselves. As someone who used to be a filmmaker and directed actors' performances, actors need a good director to turn out a good performance. The director needs to convey what it is that they're looking for in a simple and direct way that's easy enough to understand. However, every so often you'll have these directors who just don't care or think that the first take is the best and just go with that. For every Christopher Nolan, you have a Tommy Wiseau. Now I think that Lily Gao's director played a huge part in her lackluster performance, and it's part of the reason why it turned out the way it did. There also could have been a pressure on Capcom's part to have an Asian actress portray Ada to get with the times. But let me refer to what I said before. Gamers don't care what race an actress is when they're voicing a character.
We don't care.
Did you know that Noshir Dalal, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, who plays Charles Smith in Red Dead 2, isn't black or Native American? I didn't know that. Do I care that he isn't black or Native American? Absolutely not, because I still love the character. Some companies feel like they need to correct the wrongs of the past in order to keep up with modern times, instead of just giving us exciting games and fun stories to immerse ourselves in. And as a result, you get something like a Lily Gao situation. Do I also think that we should redirect all of our dissatisfaction and hatred to Capcom? No, but you can't deny that they also had a part to play in this whole affair. So we have three main parties involved with this whole mess. The first is the so-called Resident Evil fans, who didn't like a performance of a character that they probably believe is their waifu. So then they harassed the actress with awful comments that painted the community that they love in a bad light. The second is the aforementioned actress who received these comments, and instead of addressing her performance, decided to attribute it to racism, and label the whole thing as an attack because she's Asian. And then last but not least, there's the company who made the game that also hired the actress. They probably did this to fill a box so they don't get called out by people online, and most likely gave her poor direction starting this whole thing off. Look, this whole thing is making me exhausted, and whoever you blame for the Ada Wong that we got in the Resident Evil 4 remake, it does not warrant abuse or harassment in the slightest. Even though I think Lily Gao wasn't the best choice for Ada, she is still a human being with feelings, and I do hope that this experience doesn't deter her away from the franchise, and those who are actually respectful to others. But the one thing I do know for certain is that her performance wasn't as bad as anything in Resident Evil 1.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.